Incredible connection. How one black waitress revealed the hidden heart of a billionaire woman. Maya never thought a single morning could change her life. The steel giants of downtown Chicago loomed above, their glass panels reflecting her struggles. As the clock ticked towards 6 a.m., she strapped on her apron and stepped into the bustling diner. It was just another day amidst the clattering of plates and the sizzling of bacon. But beneath the ordinary facade, she carried the weight of her family's medical bills and her dream of nursing. Her exhaustion sometimes felt like wearing a heavy coat in June, stifling her aspirations. But then it happened. On that rainy Tuesday morning, a clumsy moment turned into the start of an unexpected friendship. While pouring coffee, she fumbled, and the hot liquid splashed all over a guest seated in one of the fancy booths, Katherine, a high-fashion billionaire. For an instant, the diner went quiet, as if the world had stopped just for them. "Oh no! I'm so sorry!" Maya blushed, her heart racing. Katherine laughed, a sound that danced through the noise, breaking the tension. "Guess I'm now part of your morning special." With an earnest smile, they exchanged wry apologies. Laughter bubbled between them, warm like the sunlight breaking through the clouds. What seemed like a world apart began to close the gap, with shared moments distracted from the chaos of the diner, a place where Maya's resilience often felt unnoticed. As their interactions grew frequent, Maya learned about Katherine's life cloaked in luxury, but haunted by family disapproval and echoes of loneliness. It was as if Katherine lived in an exquisite glass house, where the beauty on the outside didn't shield her from feeling invisible. To Maya, she was not just a wealthy patron, but a kindred spirit wearing armor to protect her vulnerable heart. Just when their friendship started to flourish, disaster struck. Maya's mother fell critically ill, collapsing under the weight of mounting medical bills. The world turned gray as Maya struggled with anxiety that twisted in her gut. It was in this moment of despair that Katherine stepped in, offering a listening ear and gentle hands. Their conversations deepened. They shared heartfelt stories of motherhood and sacrifice, their connection glimmering like morning dew. To Maya's astonishment, she discovered Katherine had been quietly funding community projects in her neighborhood unseen by the world. The complexity of privilege versus merit sparked a fiery conversation between them, igniting debates that were long overdue. "Is it enough just to throw money at problems?" Maya challenged, her voice steady. Katherine felt an awakening in her, a longing to make amends for being an outsider. Then came a moment that could reshape their worlds forever. Back in the diner, with patrons eagerly listening, Katherine held the microphone, breath caught in her throat. She was poised to share what Maya truly represented: strength, perseverance, and a light that many overlooked. Would she reveal the depths of her authenticity before a crowd? Or retreat into the shadows, back to her safe yet lonely existence? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As she stood in the spotlight, would Katherine choose to embrace Maya's unwavering spirit, shattering the delicate puppet strings of her past? Or would she fall back to the isolation that had become all too familiar? The questions hung in the air, their weight palpable, leaving both women at a precipice, waiting for the winds of change to guide them forward. Katherine's heart thundered in her chest as she gripped the mic, her fingers trembling with uncertainty. The diner was filled with expectant faces, each one leaning in closer, eager to hear her words. She felt the heat of the spotlight, a flood of insecurities washing over her. Would they see the real Katherine, or just the facade she had built all her life? Maya's eyes sparkled with encouragement. She nodded slightly, silently urging Katherine on. In that moment, Katherine realized she had a choice. She could retreat, or she could take a step into the unknown, shedding the layers that had suffocated her for too long. The laughter and warmth of their interactions flooded her memory, reminding her of everything she had learned from the remarkable woman standing amidst the clatter and chaos of the diner. "I wanted to share something meaningful with you all," Katherine began hesitantly. "Sometimes, we can get lost in our own worlds, in our struggles and privilege, forgetting the beauty found in the connections we make with each other." The room shifted, energy palpable as she continued. "But I've realized something important. This diner, where lives intersect in the most unexpected ways, has been a part of my awakening. It's not about wealth or status. It's about stories. It's about the strength of good souls like Maya." The room sparked with a mix of surprise and intrigue. Many had come for breakfast, but now they leaned forward, caught in this unfolding truth. Katherine's voice steadied as she went on. She shared moments of loneliness amidst crowds, of the pressures of high society, and the yearning for connection that had brought her to Maya's table day after day. Each word peeled back layers of her privileged existence, revealing the vulnerability behind her designer clothes. Maya's heart soared, tears welling in her eyes, as she listened to Katherine confess her insecurities, her search for belonging. It was a raw moment, unfiltered and genuine, resonating within everyone present. Part of her felt proud. Another part felt the familiar tangle of fear. Would this transformation lead to judgment or understanding? As Katherine spoke of her newfound commitment to not only support her community, but to learn from it, the atmosphere shifted. A sense of empowerment spread through the diner, igniting a spark in the listeners. They were no longer mere spectators. They were active participants in this unfolding narrative of hope and change. Just when Katherine picked up momentum and seemed ready to turn the moment into a catalyst for deeper change, the sound of a phone ringing pierced the air, jolting the connection. It was hers, a call from her family. Katherine faltered, glancing at the screen with a mix of dread and obligation. The momentary hesitation tugged at Maya's heart, the weight of the expectations from Katherine's world clashing with the progress blossoming here. Katherine took a deep breath, torn between two worlds. "Excuse me for just a moment." As she stepped away to take the call, silence fell over the diner, uncertainty drifting in the air. Maya felt the eyes of the patrons, now filled with a blend of confusion and anticipation. Would Katherine return to finish what she had started? Maya glanced around, sensing each person's silent prayers for Katherine's courage, matching her own hopes. The room held its breath. Would this be the moment that defined them both? In the back of her mind, Maya felt the weight of her own battle looming ahead, the upcoming hospital bills, and her mother's condition. As Katherine stood in the shadows, the air thick with possibility, Maya grasped her heart, knowing this story was far from over. Would both their journeys intertwine into something greater, or would life pull them apart again? As Katherine hung up her call, the crowd leaned in, eager for what would happen next. How would she choose to navigate the crossroads of her life? And would Maya find the strength within herself to embrace the uncertainty that lay ahead? Katherine returned to the mic, her heart still racing from the conversation that had just unfolded. She had heard her mother's voice, laced with distant expectations and criticisms. But as she glanced around the diner, she was met with hopeful faces, eager for her next words. The conflicting emotions battled within her. Her family's expectations felt like a heavy blanket, smothering the awakening she yearned to embrace. "I am back," she said, her voice cracking slightly. "I have to admit, my family is calling me back to the life I thought I wanted. A life that always seemed perfect. But I've come to realize it's missing something. It's missing this." She gestured around the diner, taking in the eclectic mix of patrons. The barista with a bright smile, the elderly couple sharing a slice of pie, the young mother juggling her toddler, and a cup of coffee. Each person held a small piece of a larger puzzle. Maya felt a rush of warmth. Katherine was peeling back layers, not just for herself but for everyone in the diner. It was inspiring, yet frightening to witness. What if this moment opened up something that would be hard to close again? She couldn't shake the twinge of fear slithering through her heart. Katherine pressed on. I've been enveloped in my privilege, surrounded by wealth and power, but today, I found something real. You all have opened my eyes to the truth, that true wealth isn't measured in dollars, but in connections, in the love we share, the stories we exchange. A soft murmur spread through the crowd, a gentle wave of understanding. It felt like a barrier was breaking, and in that moment, Katherine's gaze locked with Maya's, grounding her in purpose. Here was the heart of the matter. This was exactly what Maya had wanted for Katherine all along. But doubt still lingered like a stubborn shadow. Will she be able to keep this promise? Maya thought, battling between hope and fear. Katherine took a deep breath, her voice strengthening. I want to dedicate my life to serving this community, learning from you, and giving back. I know it won't be easy, and I want to always get it right. But I need your support. The room erupted into soft applause, soggy with emotion. Maya leaned forward, eyes glistening. You can count on us, Katherine, she called out, her voice rising above the symphony of laughter and chatter. And just when it felt like the moment couldn't get any more powerful, the door swung open. A thin man in a sharp suit stepped in. Maya's heart sank. It was one of the lawyers from Katherine's family. The tension in the diner shifted like a rising tide, uncertainty flooding the space once more. Katherine faltered, her eyes wide with shock as she caught sight of him. What are you doing here? She demanded, her voice slicing through the growing noise. The man smirked slightly, as if he was prepared to steal Katherine back into the world she'd worked to escape, dragging her deeper into the expectations that loomed over her. Everyone in the diner held their breath, caught between the warmth left by Katherine's words and the chill creeping in from the door. Maya's heart raced, sensing the stakes had suddenly risen. Would this moment taint Katherine's journey or empower it? Katherine's gaze flickered between the man and the patrons in the diner, who had rallied around her just moments ago, their support palpable. What would she choose in the face of this unanticipated challenge? And would Maya be prepared for the fallout that could come from either decision? There was an air of tension and possibility, a crossroads looming in front of them both. Katherine's heart thundered in her chest as she squared her shoulders, her newfound strength wavering under the sudden influx of doubt. The lawyer's presence felt like an anchor, pulling her back toward the choppy waters of her former life. He looked around the diner, his gaze icy and calculating, clearly assessing the room full of people who had embraced her with open arms. She could sense the shifting winds of expectation. What do you want, Thomas? Katherine asked, trying to steady her voice. He smirked, the corners of his mouth twisting in a way that made her skin crawl. Your family is worried, Katherine. They need you back in the fold. There are pressing decisions to be made. Your father is unwell, and frankly, this place is beneath you. Beneath her? A knot of anger twisted in her stomach. She felt the warmth of the diner, the laughter, and the connections she had begun to forge. It wasn't beneath her. It was everything she had been searching for. Maya instinctively stepped forward, feeling the surge of protective energy ripple through the diner. This isn't just a diner, Thomas. This is home for Katherine now. And it means something deeply. Thomas's gaze flickered between Maya's fierce determination and Katherine's unsure expression. Home? He challenged, scoffing. You think this is home? You can't be serious. The real world is waiting for you, Katherine. Don't throw away your future on these people. Katherine's mind raced. Should she cling to the familiar comfort of wealth and expectations, or dive headfirst into the uncertainty that this community represented? She felt a pull as she remembered the moments spent laughing over coffee, the warmth of shared stories, the comfort of connection. "Look," she said with newfound clarity, "I can see it now. This community has given me a gift I never realized I needed. I can't just walk away from that because it scares me." She took a deep breath, grounding herself in the conviction of her words. "I won't let anyone dictate my life for me anymore." The energy in the diner snapped. People leaned in, eager, their faith in her palpable. Maya felt emboldened, her heart swelling with pride. This was Katherine, the woman they had all started to know and love. "You know what is beneath me?" Katherine continued, her eyes fiercely locked on Thomas S. "It's living a life dictated by fear and obligation. That S not living. That S just existing." Thomas S. expression soured, the passive condescension replaced by irritation. "You think you can walk away?" he hissed, his voice low, almost threatening. "You have a responsibility to your family, to your name." "I have a responsibility to myself," Katherine countered, a fierce light blazing in her eyes. "And I'm ready to embrace that." The diner erupted into applause once more, voices rising in unity. Each clap felt like a validating embrace, wrapping around Katherine until the edges of her resolve sharpened. But even with that surge of affirmation, uncertainty lingered. The ramifications of her choice loomed like dark clouds. Who would she face when the applause faded? What price would her decision carry? Maya took a step back, letting Katherine breathe. She understood this was just the beginning of a fight that could stretch far beyond the diner's walls. "Whatever happens, I'm here," she whispered, locking eyes with Katherine. Thomas's jaw clenched, a storm brewing behind his composed facade. "You'll regret this, Katherine. They'll only bring you down." The words hung in the air, heavy with threat yet tinged with the bitter taste of truth. Katherine felt her pulse quicken, a mix of fear and exhilaration. Would she have the strength to face what lay ahead? The man in the sharp suit was a reminder of all she was leaving behind. Still, in the warmth of the diner and the fierce acceptance from Maya and the others, she began to realize that true courage lay in embracing the unknown. As Thomas turned and left, the door swung closed behind him, cutting the tension like a knife. Outside, the world awaited, filled with uncertainty and challenges. Katherine stood still for a moment, breathing deeply. A flutter of hope danced in her stomach. What awaited her beyond the diner, away from the expectations? And could the warmth of her new family withstand the chill of an old one, looking to pull her back in? Questions spun in her mind as the laughter and conversations of the diner resumed. But beneath the joyful noise, a thin thread of worry tangled with hope. What would the next chapter of her life unfold? Where was this path truly leading her? Katherine's cheeks flushed with the warmth of applause, but the fear still gnawed at her insides. The diner felt electric, alive with the joy of acceptance, yet she couldn't shake the feeling of uncertainty that wrapped itself around her heart like a heavy blanket. She wanted to believe Thomas was wrong, she had no regrets, and would never look back. But doubt lingered like shadows at dusk. "Are you okay?" Maya's gentle voice cut through the noise, a lifeline amidst the chaos. She reached out, placing a steady hand on Katherine's shoulder. Katherine nodded, forcing a smile. "I am. I never expected my past to come crashing back like that." Maya glanced towards the door Thomas had just exited. "He doesn't know you like we do. You're more than what they want you to be." "Maybe he is right about one thing," Katherine admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "What if I made the wrong choice?" "Look around you," Maya urged, gesturing to the people who now crowded the diner, chatting and laughing. "You've found your tribe here. These people believe in you, Katherine. That means something." Katherine glanced around, seeing familiar faces filled with pride and support. The essence of home gathered in her chest, igniting that flame of courage once more. Could she truly reject the life her family expected of her? Can we just breathe for a second? She said, exhaling deeply. Let me soak it all in. They stepped outside to the small patio, the cool evening air wrapping around them. Below the vibrant lights that lined Main Street, the sounds of laughter wafted through the window of the diner behind them. It was comforting, a reminder of what was keeping her grounded. What's next for you? Maya asked, her curiosity genuine. You've taken a big step. What does it look like now? Katherine shrugged, the weight of her choices crashing back. I don't know. I suppose I'll have to start talking with my family again. Or you stand your ground. Maya interjected, her voice animated. You don't have to go back to who you were. You left for a reason. Focus on that. Katherine considered the thought. What if they don't understand? What if they try to pull me back in again? Then it's your job to remind them why you chose this path. Maya's eyes sparkled with determination. You're more than just a name on a ledger. You have a heart, and you deserve to follow it. The word struck a chord, resonating deep within Katherine. But the thought of confronting her family sent a chill down her spine. The looming uncertainties were daunting, but maybe this was her moment to test her resolve. Suddenly, the bell above the diner's entrance jangled, and Katherine's gaze snapped to the door. A familiar figure stepped inside. It was Mr. Thompson, the diner owner, whose presence had always radiated kindness and wisdom. He looked around, then spotted Katherine, his brow furrowing with concern. Hey there, I was hoping to catch you, he called, walking toward her with a sense of urgency. I need to talk to you about something important. Katherine's heart raced, apprehension buzzing in her fingertips. She turned to Maya, who simply nodded, urging her to face whatever news was coming. What is it? Katherine asked, crossing her arms protectively. Mr. Thompson's expression was serious, and for a moment, insistence flickered in his eyes. It's about Thomas and your family. I think you need to know some things. The world around Katherine faded into a hush, her heart thudding in her ears. No more veils, no more secrets. She was ready to face the truth, even if it meant turning her world upside down once again. What could he possibly reveal that would change everything? Mr. Thompson stepped closer, drawing Katherine's attention fully onto him. The liveliness of the diner seemed to fade away, leaving only the weight of his words suspended in the air. Katherine, I know you had a rough spot with your family, especially after I left. Katherine interjected, her voice sharp. Fighting the urge to retreat behind her walls, she steadied herself. Mr. Thompson wasn't here to judge. He was here to help. He continued, his tone soft but insistent. Thomas isn't just some guy you cross paths with. He's, well, part of a bigger picture involving your family. I didn't want to worry you, but he is digging into your past. Katherine's breath hitched as the reality settled in. What do you mean? Digging how? There are things at stake, important things. Your family is connected in ways you might not realize. You leaving, it made waves. And not only affecting you. His eyes searched hers, full of concern. You mean something to them. More than you think. But I can't go back to that world, Mr. Thompson. It almost broke me. Her voice shook with vulnerability, remembering the endless nights of anxiety, trying to act as if nothing was wrong with her life. I understand. But you also need to know your worth. You've built this life here. People care about you, Katherine. You don't have to fit into anyone else's mold. His words echoed in her mind. Could she really reclaim her narrative, or was she still just a player in someone else's story? And Thomas? Katherine hesitated, her heart racing. What does he want from me? What do they want? Mr. Thompson rubbed his chin, looking pensive. He has got his own agenda, but there's a risk he might try to pull you back into that life. He thinks he understands you, but it's all from his perspective. Another shot of shame in my gut? Katherine said, her frustration bubbling to the surface. Yet underneath the anger throbbed a familiar fear, the nagging worry that the past could return to swallow her whole. Maya cleared her throat, breaking the tense moment. Katherine, if this is about identity and family, standing your ground is crucial. You've fought so hard for the life you have now. Taking a deep breath, Katherine felt a flicker of resolve ignite within her. You're right, Maya. Besides, Mr. Thompson added gently, you have allies here. We won't let them pull you back without a fight. They all stood in a small circle, each heartbeat resonating with the weight of unspoken fears and hopes. Katherine felt the strength in their presence. They believed in her. That power stirred something within her. What do I do when the shadows of my past start creeping into my present? She asked, her eyes burning with determination. You face it. You own your story. And you gather the people who stand with you, Mr. Thompson answered, his conviction unwavering. Katherine smiled cautiously, the spark of hope igniting fully now. Still, a piece of uncertainty lingered. What exactly would facing her past entail? What secrets had Thomas unearthed? As the conversation settled into thoughtful silence, Katherine's gaze turned to the diner, where laughter echoed like a warm embrace. But Thomas wasn't he done with her yet? She could feel it, like a storm brewing on the horizon. Just remember, Maya said, squeezing Katherine's hands gently, no matter what happens next, we have your back. We're your tribe. The world outside felt unstable, and Katherine stood at the precipice of two life paths. She was no longer just fighting against her past. She was battling not to lose her newfound sense of self. Taking a deep breath, she nodded, ready to confront whatever shadows waited on the edge of her world. What revelation awaited that might shake the very foundations of everything she thought she knew? Katherine's heart raced as she left the diner, the laughter and clatter of dishes trailing behind her like ghosts. She stepped into the cool evening air, the sun dipping below the horizon, casting long shadows across the parking lot. Every whisper of the wind felt like a reminder of the storm that loomed just ahead. She glanced back at the twinkling lights illuminating the diner windows. They felt like a beacon of safety, yet Thomas's name hung in the air like heavy fog. The thought of him digging into her past was both infuriating and terrifying. He had always been the puppet master, connecting threads she had purposefully cut. A shiver ran down her spine. Maya is right. I can't let him take away what I've built, she murmured to herself, repeating it like a mantra. Each step felt decisive. What would she say when she confronted Thomas? Reaching her apartment, she pushed open the door and stepped inside. The familiar scent of cinnamon and vanilla from a candle she left burning wrapped around her like a warm hug. The dim glow cast soft shadows in the room, a stark contrast to the chaos swirling within her. Katherine settled onto her worn-out couch, her fingers tapping restlessly on her knee. The picture of her family sat on the coffee table, their smiles frozen in time. They represented everything she had tried to escape. But now, with Thomas lurking in the background, she had to face the truth of her past. Whether she liked it or not, a knock shattered her thoughts. She jumped, feeling a rush of adrenaline. Who could it be at this hour? She opened the door slowly, her heart pounding in her chest. There stood Mr. Thompson, an unexpected but welcome sight. I wanted to check in, he said softly, his expression earnest. I thought you might need some company. Mr. Thompson, she sighed. The weight of his presence felt oddly comforting. I'm just dealing with things. He stepped inside, closing the door behind him. I know this isn't easy for you. But whatever you're feeling, it's okay to let it out. As she sank into the couch, tears threatened to spill. I'm so scared, Mr. Thompson. It feels like I'm running from something that will always catch up with me. She paused, looking up into his sympathetic eyes. What if I can't face it? What if I lose everything again? It's a risk we all face when confronting past pain. But I can assure you, Katherine, you are not the same person you were back then. You have all the strength you need, he replied, his voice steady and sure. But what if Thomas tries to pull me back into that world? She whispered, her chest tightening at the thought. What if he reveals secrets that change everything? Silence settled between them, thick and heavy, but instead of dread, she felt hope, faint but persistent, woven into his words. Mr. Thompson leaned forward, his eyes intense. You can choose how to react. The power lies within you. Use it. Katherine nodded, absorbing his reassurance. A part of her wished to believe he was right, to trust that she could rise above the darkness looming just out of sight. Just then, her phone buzzed violently on the table, cutting through the moment. She grabbed it, her heart dropping when she saw the name on the screen. Thomas. Do you want me to take your phone? Mr. Thompson asked, sensing the tension radiating from her. No, she said firmly, her fingers trembling as she swiped to answer. It's time I dealt with this. All right, he agreed, sitting back but his gaze never leaving her. Katherine took a deep breath and answered, hello? His voice dripped with charm and an unnerving confidence. Katherine, I've been trying to reach you. We need to talk about your family. The word sent a chill creeping along her spine. Her hand trembled around the phone. This was it. Where and when? She asked, her heart thundering in her chest. Let us meet at the old coffee shop on Maple Street, he suggested casually. It's time for you to understand just how deep the waters run. As she hung up, the weight of that conversation settled on her shoulders like an anchor. Fear clawed at her insides, but determination flickered as brightly as the diner lights. She wouldn't go down without a fight. This is your moment, Katherine, Mr. Thompson said softly. You've got this. But as she prepared for the confrontation ahead, a question loomed. Would she truly be ready to face whatever revelations Thomas had in store? Katherine stared at her phone, the screen dimming as she processed the weight of Thomas's words. The encounter ahead felt monumental, like standing on the edge of a cliff. She ran her fingers through her hair and took a deep breath, willing her racing heart to slow. Do you think I should go alone? She asked Mr. Thompson, not fully believing what would spill out of her mouth next. Facing your demons solo is tough, he replied, leaning forward. But sometimes, the strength you find within yourself shines brightest when you're alone. You can do this, Katherine. His words comforted her, yet a gnawing worry lingered. Did she really have the strength? I just don't know what he'll say, she admitted, her voice quaking slightly. What if he brings up things I thought I'd left behind? What ifs can destroy our peace? Mr. Thompson interrupted gently. You have what it takes to manage this. Remember, you're in control of your narrative now. His steady gaze spurred her to hurricane past the uncertainty swirling in her chest. She was all too aware that her past loomed. Shadows of her family, the decisions that shifted her life's course, and secrets buried deep. Yet here she was, the author of her own story today. Okay, she whispered, bolstered somewhat by his unwavering faith in her. I'll meet him, but I think I need someone to be there, you know? Just in case. Whether it's to walk with you or stand guard from a distance, you have options, he said, encouragingly. Katherine felt an inkling of relief. Knowing she didn't have to go fully unprotected eased the oppressive weight on her shoulders. Would you come with me? She asked, praying he would say yes. Absolutely, he agreed without hesitation. Let us not turn this visit into a solitary battle. The late afternoon sun flooded the apartment as they opened the front door together. They walked down the winding path toward Maple Street, each step filling Katherine with muscle-straining anxiety. The coffee shop pulsed like a heartbeat in the distance, drawing her in while also making her want to run. As they approached, she noticed the quaint building, its windows fogged with a warmth inside, laughter escaping through door cracks. A sense of normalcy within such an extraordinary moment felt surreal. With Mr. Thompson beside her, she pushed through the door, the bell above ringing high and clear. The aroma of roasted coffee and sweet pastries enveloped her. Yet the familiar comforts faded as she spotted Thomas lounging at a corner table, his smug grin reaching her before his words had the chance. "Ah, Katherine, you made it," he said, his tone too affable, too staged. "Let us just get this over with," she replied, surprising herself with the taut boldness in her voice. But beneath the surface, her heart thumped loudly, echoing her nerves. He motioned to a seat across from him, and Katherine, with Mr. Thompson behind her like an unwavering pillar, settled down. "Thanks for meeting me," he began, but the faux sincerity felt fake, as if she could see through layers of manufactured charm. "There's a lot we need to discuss about your family, and who they really are." Her breath caught in her throat. This was it. The darkness she'd buried was clawing its way back up. The room around her blurred as her mind raced, bound tightly to memories she wished she could forget. "Stop." The word hung in the air, a thin line drawn in the sand. "What do you know?" Thomas leaned in closer, amusement dancing in his eyes. "Everything you've tried to hide, Katherine. You can't escape it." Her pulse quickened as a chill traced the outline of her spine. This wasn't just a conversation. It was a countdown to revelations that could unravel everything she had built. She glanced at Mr. Thompson, his supportive presence like a light pushing back the darkness, but dread squeezed her chest. But just then, Thomas's phone chimed, and he blinked, frowning momentarily as he glanced down. "What the?" In that instant, every feeling shifted dramatically. Katherine had a fleeting glimpse of triumph. This was going as he had planned. But then again, she could feel the danger creeping back, and what unsettling truth would Thomas reveal next? Would it mean the end of everything she'd fought for, or could it be a path to redemption? Her breath hitched, knowing the next few minutes could change everything. Katherine held her breath, waiting for Thomas to regain his composure. She had expected a confrontation, an unraveling of secrets, but this unexpected moment of distraction offered her a flicker of hope. Maybe he didn't have all the power today. "Sorry," Thomas muttered, quickly checking his phone. His grin faded as he read the message. Katherine felt something shift in him. Uncertainty played across his features. It's nothing important." He leaned back, attempting to regain his swagger, but Katherine could see the cracks beginning to form. She exchanged a quick glance with Mr. Thompson, who nodded ever so slightly, affirming her unspoken question about whether to press on. "I don't believe you," Katherine said, her voice much steadier than she felt. "What do you really want, Thomas? You're not here just to play games." He clenched his jaw. "Fine. Let us talk about your family. They've done some connections in the past that might come back to haunt you." Her fingers trembled against the wooden table. The mention of her family sent a flood of anger through her veins. Those connections had always felt like a weight she was trying to shake off. But now Thomas had opened a door back into a life she had fought so hard to escape. "My family's past is none of your business," she shot back. She noticed a couple seated nearby glance over, their ears piqued by the intensity of her tone. "Is it really none of my business?" Thomas countered, leaning closer again. "You can't just dismiss it. They're involved in things. Dangerous things." His eyes sparkled with mischief, as if he enjoyed holding this over her. Katherine felt a mix of fury and fear surge through her. The shadows he hinted at felt all too real, clawing at her confidence. "What are you saying?" she managed to ask, her voice low. "Your father, he has got secrets," he said quietly, scanning the coffee shop to ensure they were the only ones locked in this tumultuous exchange. "Secrets that could ruin you if they got out?" Waves of memories crashed back. Her father had always been a man of ambition, a man who walked the line between respectability and something darker. She had wanted to rid herself of that legacy, but here it was, creeping back into her life. "You're lying," she said, but the tremor in her voice betrayed her. It's not a lie if everyone knows it, he smirked, leaning back in his chair as if reveling in her discomfort. I have the proof, Katherine. But I'm willing to keep it quiet for a price. A surge of anger bubbled within her, but she kept it in check. What do you want? The usual. Information. Access. Oh, I'm not looking for your money, sweetheart. Just your family's connections. Mr. Thompson shifted behind her, the tension evident in his posture. Katherine, you don't have to entertain this, he said firmly, but the tremor in her hands told her how desperate the situation was becoming. Katherine could feel her heart racing. And if I refuse? Thomas smirked, leaning closer again, his voice a low whisper. Things could get very ugly for you and your family. I can make sure the truth sees the light, and trust me, it won't shine well on you. She felt a wave of nausea wash over her. How had it come to this? Her present colliding with her past, each choice she made now tinged with the weight of what she refused to acknowledge. And yet, as his words dripped with venom, something deep inside her sparked with defiance. Katherine took a steadying breath. You think you can bully me into submission? You're mistaken, Thomas. I'm not my family. You'll see that I want to be your pawn. The surprise on his face was almost worth the perilous tension in the air. As he opened his mouth to reply, her phone vibrated sharply on the table. She barely glanced at it, but the sharp beep cut through the charged atmosphere. Thomas, caught off guard, paused. Who is it from? He asked, the prior faux confidence cracking. Katherine snatched her phone, a rush of heat swirling inside her. It was a message from an unknown number. Her stomach twisted as she read the words. You need to know the truth about your father. Her heart raced, panic intertwining with curiosity. Who could be reaching out to her now? Thomas narrowed his eyes, sensing the shift in her own narrative, his facade slipping further. What does it say? Suddenly, her precarious balance teetered, the unseen forces pulling at her, and she faced a choice. Would she read the full message and risk her world crumbling, or shut down the moment, shielding herself from a truth she might not be ready to confront? Her mind raced. Maybe Mr. Thompson knew more than he let on. She took a deep breath, ready to make a decision that could either ensnare her deeper into the web of lies, or cut her free from everything she'd been running from. As she opened her mouth to respond, a deafening silence enveloped the coffee shop, and Katherine felt a profound realization hit her. She was standing at a crossroads. What would she choose? The air held its breath as Katherine felt the weight of the message in her hand. Every fiber of her being screamed for answers. She could either delve into the unknown or retreat into safety, escaping the turbulent waters that threatened to drag her down. Thomas leaned in, his curiosity palpable. So, are we going to find out together, or are you going to keep me in suspense? His taunt pierced through her uncertainty. Ignoring him, Katherine turned to Mr. Thompson, searching his face for guidance. He nodded slowly, a silent affirmation that she had the strength she needed to face whatever awaited her. With a deep breath, she opened the message and read it aloud. You need to know the truth about your father. There was no name, but the implicative dread wrapped around her heart like a vice. Who sent this? What truth was hidden beneath her family's carefully crafted facade? In the hushed coffee shop, time momentarily slowed. Thomas's sneer turned to intrigue, his eyes flickering with interest. Now we're getting somewhere. Katherine's mind raced, memories crashing over her like tidal waves. The man her father always portrayed, the image she had detached from, began to blend together, as she struggled to remember the moments that felt so distant, yet close enough to touch. What are you hiding? She whispered to herself, heart pounding. Nothing you wouldn't expect, Thomas interrupted, mischief dancing in his voice. He has a reputation for keeping skeletons in closets that are designed to be hidden from view. Trust me, it's more than you think. Katherine's hands curled into fists as fresh anger ignited within. You don't know anything about me or my family. But I know enough to know you're scared, he pressed, leaning back in triumph. That you're on the verge of falling apart at the seams. Isn't that why you left? All those ties that brought you here were to escape, weren't they? The word stung. Yet, the realization settled in. She wasn't this frightened girl anymore. She had fought for her place, for her voice and identity. I am not my past, Katherine said, locking eyes with Thomas. You can't use that against me. But in truth, the path to self-discovery felt precarious. What would it take to sever those ties for good? Just then, Mr. Thompson chimed in, cutting through the tension. Katherine, the choice is yours. Face your family's legacy right now, make your own narrative, or let him reign over you. Her heart raced. The storm brewing inside felt both terrifying and liberating. Katherine's fingers tightened around her phone. Tell me everything, Thomas. If you think you have me pinned, you're mistaken. I'll decide my own fate. The surprise splashed across his face like cold water. Very well. Your father's business dealings go deeper than you realize. There are risks, financial and otherwise, attached. Secrets that could ruin your reputation if the public found out. You may want to reconsider how you approach this lifestyle you forged for yourself. The truth hung thick and heavy, but Katherine held her composure. The whispers of her past called but didn't ensnare her. They merely nudged at the fringes of her thoughts, and with that, she felt clarity. Is this the best you can do, Thomas? Is that it? She challenged, her voice steady. You think you can scare me into silence? Into collaboration? I'm not interested in living under fear anymore. Not for myself, and not for my family. She glanced at Mr. Thompson, who sat behind her with unyielding support in his eyes. Faces around the cafe began to shift back towards their own conversations, some curious, some indifferent, but she felt the power surging within. Go on, Thomas urged, annoyance lacing his tone. But I would think twice before disregarding your family's power. They're not as benevolent as you believe. Katherine stood taller, her spirit roiling with defiance against the vestiges of doubt. Maybe that's what I need to uncover. I want to know what they've been hiding, and I want to expose it on my terms. You think you can outplay me? You'll lose everything, Thomas spat back, his confidence waning as she stared into his eyes with unwavering resolve. No, I'm done losing, she replied, her voice holding the vibrant echo of purpose. I'll seek my truth. And you? You'll be the one left behind. The room held a pregnant pause, erupting afterward with the murmur of patrons who had witnessed the clash of wills. With every beat of her heart, Katherine felt herself emerging anew, reborn in a sense, fierce and unyielding in her pursuit of authenticity. As they finished their drinks in silence, determination wrapped around her like a protective cloak. She would confront her father, challenge the lies hiding in the recesses, and untangle a web that threatened to bind her. Katherine stole a glance at Mr. Thompson, who nodded approvingly, fire igniting in his eyes. And then she thought of Maya, the fierce sisterhood and community that had sprung up around her. The strength they shared fanned the flames of her courage. For the first time, the weight of the past felt lighter, the road ahead uncharted but vibrant with hope. I'm ready for this, she said, a smile breaking through. As they exited the coffee shop, the world beyond felt more alive, shimmering with possibilities. The uncertainty that clawed at her just hours prior began to settle into quiet confidence. Katherine was stepping into her power. She wouldn't just rewrite her narrative. She would reclaim it, arm herself for whatever new challenges loomed on the horizon, and stand resolute. She felt a thrill as she walked alongside Mr. Thompson toward the diner, the community that embraced her where laughter mingled with opportunity. And while her journey wouldn't always be easy, it would be her own. No more shadows. Only light. You need to subscribe now to keep following these exclusive stories that uplift and inspire. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, and let the world see the beauty of transformation. Comment your reactions, your feelings, and your own journey of resilience below. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this message of hope and strength. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Show your support.